is, look at this, look at this. And then when you look at that and you look at that, you realize this is the worst strip club ever. I mean, if you look at MSNBC, Rachel is fantastic. And every day she's selling that story. She's selling that story. And then if you come to other networks, it's the memo, other networks, and it's selling that story. So it's scandal ping pong. And it's
competitive striptease coming to a theater near you.
But it's really just scandal ping pong. It's like
just be scandal pong.
And I just what I'm saying is I could be completely wrong. I've been wrong before. I hate talking about stuff that I don't know about. Yeah. But if I follow that, I would never open my mouth. So I am going to say a prediction that we probably will be let down. And if I'm wrong, then we'll talk about it tomorrow. Probably leave with it.
Yes, I know. What a happy Friday it will be. Okay, so Juan, do you think here in terms of what the Republicans, some of the messaging, that they've gotten ahead of the game here, or how do you see this?
Well, I think that the purpose is pretty apparent, which is that President Trump doesn't like the investigation. He's trying to undermine the FBI, Justice Department, as part of an effort to get his supporters to disbelieve anything that comes from the special counsel or any of these investigatory agencies. What's striking to me about this is you had the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, go over to the White House to meet with the White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, accompanied by Rod Rosenstein, who's the Deputy Attorney General, and both said this would be a reckless act. It would endanger national security to have this put out there, that this was a cherry-picked document. There are omissions of facts. There are things that are distorted in here, and it will lead to, methods and sources being divulged. And they asked, now these are two Trump appointees. This is not the Democrats, which I guess we can easily, just picking up on what Greg was saying, get into team sport politics here. But at some point, you have to look out for American institutions and trust in law enforcement. And here, despite what Paul Ryan says, we have the president putting his interest, his disinclination to listen and abide by anything that's coming from the Mueller investigation over the best interest of American people. I'm surprised for Republicans. Over the best interest of law enforcement in the United States.
Well, that's funny because for so long we've been told how heroic whistleblowers are for exposing all this information. I mean, where's the Chelsea Manning fan club right now? Why aren't they saying release the memo? I really don't think there's any reason for secrecy in this memo because I do think what's in the memo we already know. So I think that the idea that it's top secret is unfair to the American people.
Well, here's the thing then. The same group that says, let's be transparent, says, no, Democrats, your memo can't go out.
That's not true.
And then secondly, when they asked about the classified information behind the document, if you believe in transparency, they said, no, we can't put that out. So you just have to listen to our interpretation.
I don't think the president's trying to undermine anything. I think Congress is doing oversight, and that's what the job of Congress is. You also said that the FBI doesn't want it out. Of course they don't want it out because it's very embarrassing to the FBI. And all of a sudden, Juan Williams trusts law enforcement. No. I just want the record to show that for the last year, you've said the law enforcement needs to have body cameras on them, and we have to look out for bias in law enforcement. Now we actually have evidence of bias in law enforcement, and you don't want to know about it, Juan.
Jesse,
when has the media not wanted more information?
Jesse,
I always thought you as a journalist would want more.
Yes,
Jesse,
more.
it's I don't know. You're on such weak ground. I understand why you want to do some kind of personal attack on me, but let me just say, if I talk about police in the streets and black communities, I'm not talking about the FBI looking at our politicians.
If there's a biased cop patrolling a black neighborhood that doesn't like black people, wouldn't you suspect that black cop? So if there's a biased FBI agent that doesn't like Donald Trump and he's overseeing the investigation, wouldn't you question that too?
I tell you what, maybe then you should go back and look at the newspapers.
That's a great point.
That indicate,
address the point.
I am, because yesterday, the agent who you say doesn't like Donald Trump, it was disclosed, was the guy who wrote the memo saying, let's go after Hillary Clinton, let's reopen this thing 10 days before the election.
And you know what else happened? McCabe, who was just let go to go collect his pension, knew about these extra emails that Hillary had with Huma and Weiner and didn't tell James Comey for weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
For weeks.
Let me tell you.
Why not, Juan? What was he hiding?
Said this, nothing has come out that would justify having prosecuted Hillary Clinton.
The great thing about this is,
last word.
the great thing about this is, We're all arguing about something that nobody's read outside of a few people.
Right, but we will know.
We will know tomorrow. It's tomorrow, Dana.
I can't wait. I'm going to set my alarm. I would say there's one other point.
Yes.
The Wall Street Journal just posted a news article about Carter Page and the original FISA warrant, which it says was not during the Trump campaign. It goes back to 2013.
Right.
And there's additional information in this article that I think what you'll see is, I don't know how the Wall Street Journal got it, but if this memo comes out tomorrow, and the Democrats want their memo released as well, you can bet that there will probably be other information that somehow leaks out and tries to at least get to the bottom of it. Maybe we all will know more tomorrow after that memo comes out. But that Wall Street Journal article that just posted around 4 o'clock is important.
So let me ask you something before we go. What happens for you, any of you, if in fact the president says, Rod Rosenstein, you know, you're implicated in this memo. I want you gone, and I'm going to put somebody in there who I think can rein in this Mueller investigation? Would you say, boy, this is horrible. I can't believe that the president would interfere with the law enforcement agencies of this country in this manner to protect himself?
You're posing a question about something that hasn't happened yet?
Or you don't think it's a setup for firing Rosenstein?
Well, I'm just saying
okay.
That's what I think.
Okay.
I haven't read it.
Well, and the president didn't author the memo. So, all right, President Trump takes on Democrats again today for doing nothing on DACA as a new deadline rapidly approaches. It's all next. Stay with us.
Was the son of a preacher man, the only boy who could ever teach me. Was the son of a preacher man, yes he was, he was. Can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it.
Another deadline is approaching to strike a deal on immigration. President Trump today putting more pressure on Democrats to strike a deal on DACA at a GOP retreat in West Virginia.
We want an immigration policy that's fair, equitable, but that's going to protect our people. As the Republican Party, we have a great opportunity. We're getting very little help from the Democrats. They talk a good game with DACA, but they don't produce. If the Democrats choose to filibuster a framework that includes a generous path to citizenship or something that is not fair, we are not going to approve it. We're just not going to approve it. So we'll either have something that's fair and equitable and good and secure, or we're going to have nothing at all. It's now an election issue that will go to our benefit, not their benefit.
Mitch McConnell says he'll hold an immigration vote in the Senate as soon as next week. Over in the House, Nancy Pelosi taking aim at the president's DACA dialogue.
She makes these statements about newcomers to our country and equating it in a criminal way. What was that about? And it has instilled fear, as I say over and over. What he is doing brings tears to the eyes of the Statue of Liberty and instills fear in the hearts of people who are concerned about our dreamers.
So the difference is it looks like the Republicans, Greg, have a deal on the table, and there's some bullet points, and this is what they want. And the Democrats just are calling people names and using emotion.
You know, I'm going to pose a weird question because I don't know if I'm right or wrong on this, but this could lead to an ideological realignment on immigration by party. If Trump turns the Republican Party into the path to citizenship party, he's making it possible for 1.2 million people in limbo to obtain citizenship, and in effect saying that we are all dreamers, everybody has a chance, not just Mexico, but everybody. That's a big shift for the Republicans, and it's going to piss off a lot of the hardline right people. That's an ideological realignment in the party. If the Democrats say no to this, what does that make them? You could actually see something happening long term where the Republicans become the party for immigrants and the Democrats look like losers for resisting what is clearly an amazing deal. This is 1.2 million people, and it's amazing. He's talking about fixing up the house before people move in. You want people to move in, you got to make sure the walls are secure. You got to make sure there's a process to get in, a front door. That's all he's talking about. He's making it possible for the good to stay and the criminality to be removed. All he wants in exchange is a wall. It's not much to ask for.
Well, let's put that question to Juan. If President Trump is offering a pathway to citizenship for over 1 million people, which he said during the State of the Union was 3 times more generous than President Obama's offer on pathway to citizenship, and all he wants in exchange are a lot of the same things the Democrats have voted for in the past.
Right.
Why aren't the Democrats hopping on board with that?
Well, he's cutting legal immigration. He wants to do away with what he calls chain migration, which actually is about the ability of families to stick together. It used to be called family reunification.
But the families, like it's every. I mean, it's not just that; it's more than that.
They're going to hold
that's the heart and
amnesty
soul of
for
it.
1.8 million people over Uncle Louis coming in on someone's visa?
I just reiterate, he wants to cut legal immigration. So you're changing
No, he just wants
the
it
nature.
merit-based, Juan.
No, he wants to cut the absolute number.
Well, 75% of the country want to see a reduction in legal
Okay, so we
immigration.
keep changing. But I'm just saying, he wants a cut in legal immigration.
But we've cut immigration before, Juan.
Okay, I'm sorry, Juan. Go ahead.
That's
All right.
okay.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
It's still high numbers. This one.
But let me just say, I was so interested in this because I really appreciate the point that you and Greg are making, that maybe President Trump's rhetoric is so harsh because he's got to please his base. And then he's going to take a step that says, oh, no, base, I'm going to anger you because I'm going to make a deal. And maybe the way it hits people like me is, boy, you know, MS-13, boy, he's making a lot out of this. And now all illegal immigrants are criminals and murderers. Why is he saying this stuff?
He didn't say that.
Well,
You
it
heard
certainly
that. You
that's the
heard
way I
that.
heard it when he said it.
You should get that checked out.
We actually have some sound
That's
of
bias
MSNBC talking about MS-13 after the State of the Union. Let's listen.
She makes it sound like the biggest issue in the United States, the biggest threat is MS-13, a gang nobody that doesn't watch Fox News has ever heard of. So he makes it sound like they're the biggest threat.
All right.
Oh my God.
Kimberly?
I can't take it because, you know, MS-13 is one of the most notorious violent street gangs out there. They're actually quite organized. They're present in 46 states. They do a tremendous amount of horrific crime across this country. So why she's thinking that she should champion them and dismiss them? Anybody who has any sense of like law enforcement and what goes on in this country in terms of trafficking and the crimes that they commit know what a serious problem they are to this country. And we saw earlier in, later in last year, Attorney General Jeff Sessions going and examining and doing some follow-up on MS-13 as well. And, you know, under the Obama administration, they became the first and they remain the only street gang designated by the United States government as a transnational criminal organization. That is the status that they achieved during the last administration and how they proliferated.
All right, Dana.
Well, on the MS-13 thing, obviously they're a terrible gang, and the president just showed that on Tuesday night in a very moving way. But I would say that there is some peril for Republicans to really push forward on MS-13. Ed Gillespie, who ran for governor in Virginia, he ran ads that were very tough on MS-13. He got more votes than any Republican ever for the governor's race in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and he lost by 9 points. So I don't know if that it's actually, it's not the only issue. That's a 90-10 issue in Colorado. So you start picking it off. You start to realize you can't lose that many senators in order for President Trump to get his deal. The only thing, last thing I would say is, I hope when we talk about merit that we can include something about grit. Because we need people to come that want to work in this country. You don't have to have a master's degree to be able to come in the country and succeed.
Exactly. I would say a master's degree works against you. They're highly overrated. I don't want more people going to college. I want less.
Okay, you heard it here. Greg Gutfeld, Education Secretary. Maxine Waters off the rails again over President Trump. Her latest meltdown up next.
Forget you, girl. There is always everything's gonna be all right.
Maxine Waters made an appearance on BET last night to deliver her own rebuttal to the State of the Union. The California Democrats still pushing for President Trump's impeachment, and now she's also pushing for a presidential parental advisory. Watch this.
One speech cannot and does not make Donald Trump presidential. He's not presidential. He is a dangerous, unprincipled, divisive, and shameful racist. His vulgarity and his disrespect for women and people of color is a terrible role model for our children. Whenever he appears on TV, there should be a disclaimer that says, this may not be acceptable for children.
All right, Greg, good line for a speech or not?
Oh, I'd love to live in that Waters world. Look, as if the Democrats are so squeaky clean. Every leader, you got to be honest at this point, is foul-mouthed. It's part of the job. It's just that we're in an era where people tell on you or record you. The story that drives me crazy are the stories that begin with Donald Trump erupted at X or Donald Trump exploded at X. If you were ever in a workplace, people do yell at people, and then they move on. When you're ticked off about something, you yell. When I first got to Fox and I was doing Red Eye, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was screaming at inanimate objects. So Trump reads like the newspaper, and he'll yell, "What the hell's going on?" And that's a boss. That's a boss. And I think a lot of liberals are unfamiliar with having a boss.
Well, wasn't it true that, Juan, that Bill Clinton was notorious for having a foul mouth? But the media sort of, if you heard it, you sort of, not you, but it sort of underplayed it. But now everything's just out in the open.
Well, I think the difference is, boy, Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
These guys did have foul, but I think the difference is what gets said not only in front of a camera, but within earshot of people these days. And I think that the president takes that to a different level. And he doesn't, I'm not sure that he doesn't object, because I think his base seems to embrace the fact that he is a truth teller and he's not a PC guy. But, you know, it's not just Maxine Waters. I've heard other people say that children shouldn't be listening. They don't want children in front of the political TV much anymore.
We let them go
well,
on
children should be doing homework, right, Kimberly?
Children should be doing homework?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, Ronan?
Yes, Ronan. He's got his little reading assignment tonight.
There are worse things on the web. Worse things on the web than Donald Trump.
No, but let me
trust
tell
me.
you something. When you see the president around children, whether it's the Easter parade or out in the front, the lawn of the White House,
The press kids.
yeah, I mean, it's just he absolutely loves children. He loves his grandkids. He can't get enough of having them come visit and being around them. That's one thing. It's just like that you see him just like light up. Children are like his sweet spot. He just absolutely loves them, and like his reaction when he saw the children who were killed in Syria as well. So for her to say that he's not suitable for children is just, it has just no authenticity. It rings so hollow. And it just seems that she was trying to demonize him regardless of what he said and what he did, and that she'll go to any lengths, including calling him a racist, which is a very strong statement, terrible thing to say about someone if untrue.
Do you think, Jesse, that she believes it or is just had a good line for her speech?
It was a good line. Maxine Waters, no relation. But I don't take her seriously. What makes Donald Trump presidential is because he won the Electoral College. And that's going to be, that
would be the best talk show, Waters and Waters. Would that be amazing?
I think there'd be a lot of fights in the green room.
It would last like one night.
You'd probably get along famously.
You think so?
Oh,
It
yes.
It could be a hit. It could be a hit. But
Waters.
don't leave us yet.
Okay.
Okay, and ahead, the best tax reform bonus yet. More Twinkies. They gave me this to hold. We have more on this. Right back.
Somebody's going to eat them.
Jesse. The great thing about a good economy, everyone gets a piece of the pie. And that includes fruit pies, cupcakes, donuts, and ding-dongs. Yes, Hostess, which makes all those wonderful products, is giving workers one-time payments of $1,250, but it's also offering a year's worth of free food, which is one multi-pack of their favorite item a week. I'd eat that in an hour, but why look a gift horse in the mouth, especially when the gift is for your mouth? And these free snacks, they really are a perfect symbol. No one's getting free kale under Trump, but here's your ho-ho. And like clockwork, Hostess cited Trump's slashing of the U.S. corporate tax rate. And remember, this is Hostess, who filed for bankruptcy under President Obama and even shut down under that president. But now the tax change gives the company the chance to increase compensation, sharing the company's success with its workers. That's good news, even if it makes you fat. Now, I know the response we're going to get from the Pelosi bot. This is just crumbs. And she'll be right for once. There will be crumbs, literally from all the free food given by a company that found new life in a climate that makes such deeds possible. It's actually a bigger story, one of peer pressure profit sharing. One company looks at another company giving bonuses and says, I think we better do that too. And if Pelosi or Wasserman Schultz can't see the goodness in that, then they're the real ding-dongs. Yes, finishing it on a silly little pun, Dana. The thing is, Hostess isn't out of the woods yet because there's a change in eating habits and you got automation.
Well, but you're going to help him out right now. Right?
Yeah, I am. But the thing is, this corporate tax change is helping this company.
Let them eat cake. You know what's interesting is like the American
cake.
public is watching a real life economics 101 lesson. Like you don't have to go to YouTube or anything. You can see like if you allow companies to have more money in their coffers and the economy is good, they will want to keep their employees and reward them. It's a whole supply and demand thing. But here's the thing.
Look what's inside.
I would ask them if I could get an extra $5 a week instead of the calories.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, Juan, I open this up and I have to ask myself, why does it have to be white?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
Didn't they do chocolate? Didn't they do chocolate Twinkies for a while? That was amazing. Bring that back.
No, they had the other ones that
You're
were
talking about ding-dongs?
zingers.
No, zingers? No, the Twinkies
I
had a
think that
chocolate
was
filling.
ho-hos.
No, ho-hos. I know my ho-hos. One, good. This is good news. A $1,250. That's not crumbs.
It's not crumbs. You know, I'm amused by all this. I can only think it's like Trump saying this is the biggest tax cut ever, and of course, that's not true.
But you know what? If this had happened under President Obama, if he had done the corporate tax cut like he had wanted to, and all these companies were giving bonuses, yeah, you do have to wonder what the right would be saying. They would be saying it's not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Okay. But, but I'm just saying you were
But they
making
didn't get a
fun
chance
of
to do that.
Pelosi, I think, right?
Yeah.
And my thought is, well, make fun of Wall Street because what Wall Street. So if you give away
401ks, Juan.
Excuse me?
401ks.
They're only less than half the country has a 401k.
Well, that's still
40%.
Yeah, it's pretty
Americans.
good.
That's a lot of Americans.
No, I'm just saying, if you think this is across the board beneficial to the entire country, it's beneficial to people who already have money.
Well, okay, everybody has a little money, and it is beneficial to everybody in the country because according to AP, not fake news, right, Juan? AP,
I hope not.
all right?
I hope not.
This
You mean
is-
your cousin, AP?
This is hot off the press.
Yeah.
AP tax bill beginning to deliver bigger paychecks to workers, and this is what they said. 90% of Americans are getting a tax cut. It's a lot of Americans.
That's true.
Average middle-class family getting $1,000 in tax relief this year. And some guy was quoted, he just got an extra $200 in his paycheck. UPS just announced $13,000 per worker going into their pensions. Lowe's is just offering $1,000 bonuses. This is big money. This is real money. But I'm glad, Juan, that you say that you want workers to get more money.
Yes.
I'm glad you finally come around. Juan's
What's
a
wrong
tax
with
cutter.
that? What's
Yeah.
wrong
Juan
with
is a
that?
tax cutter.
No, but you know what I worry about?
What do you worry about?
Because
Everything.
I care about you so much. I don't want you walking in Times Square. Because if those guys are playing three-card Monty, you'd fall for it.
I have,
Yes, you
and I will
would.
admit it.
That's pretty cool. That's
Kimberly,
big in San Francisco.
You
Yeah.
are a true hostess.
Thank you.
Oh, you
With
mean
the
she's no.
mostest.
She's a true cupcake, a Twinkie in our eyes.
I will stop there. Let's.
No one's eating it?
It's this. I mean,
Oh, I was going to eat it, but okay.
It's upside down.
this has got to put a smile on many people's faces, including my own.
Yeah, I think it's sweet. And you know what? Why not like celebrate the successes and that actually the tax reform is resulting in more dollars in people's pockets, which is going back into the economy, into the stream for purchasing power and for consumerism. And I like the companies are treating their employees well. And maybe if they work for Twinkies, they really love them. So they'd be happy to take all of them home.
It's funny if other companies said we're going to give what you work on, you can take it home. So like we would get free news. Like Fox
Don't
News
we
gives us
get
all a
free
big
news?
pile of newspapers to take home.
No, they should give us real news. Hey, but you know what? Let me ask you something. Walmart says, oh, we're going to give you stuff, and then they fire like 10,000 people from Sam's Club. Does this ever, it doesn't connect for you
That's
guys?
a different segment.
Oh, okay.
How dare you?
These are
Ahead.
very
Science
good.
has proved it once and for all. I am better looking than Juan.
No.
I'll let him explain.
Are you sure?
Some hot stuff, baby, this evening. I need some hot stuff, baby.
I'm not so sure about this story, so I'm going to just ask you, you decide. We'll report. A recent survey has determined that Republicans are usually better looking than Democrats. researchers claim a person's physical attractiveness can alter their political views, their worldviews. So if you're good looking, you're more, allegedly so, more likely to identify as a conservative because you've been treated better in life and view the world as more fair. That, the logic goes, makes them, conservatives, more resistant to the type of social welfare and redistribution programs championed by liberals. So I'm going to ask the pretty people at the table, beginning with Ms. Kimberly. Does this make sense? Oh, what are you're objecting?
Greg's
Well,
like, what
I think
about me?
that's sexist, but okay.
Sexist. Well, at least I wasn't
Well, it was
racist this
before
time.
your work accident, the door incident, for sure was you.
I have a third
Poor
eye.
thing. All right, what would you like to know?
Well, what do you think of this theory?
Well, I don't know. I think there's beauty on both sides of the partisan divide.
She's married the other side, remember?
Oh, you married a Democrat. That's true. That's
Yes.
true.
And he was a
people find
looker.
him attractive.
Okay, but what do you think of
what do I think?
in
I think
general?
I
But
think it's
he might be-
interesting. I think it's an interesting premise. I think you can always find supporting documentation to, support whatever kind of thesis you have going forward. That's what creative writers are all about. I don't know. I mean, for me, I think it's like, look, I grew up in a very, very liberal city, married the other side.
Right.
Divorced the other side, and kind of married the other side, and then divorced the other side. And then, I don't know.
I'll tell
but,
you what's consistent in that picture. They find you attractive.
Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Mom.
that's a nice compliment.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to say I don't necessarily believe this because have you seen Hollywood models, the entertainment industry? They're beautiful people, and they're almost all liberal.
Oh.
And we make fun of Hollywood all the time.
Aha, like Giselle.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
Like all of them.
Well, Jesse, look at this picture here that we're going to put up. It's a full screen
dear.
of a liberal
Oh, no.
and a conservative. Who's more attractive,
Oh,
Jesse?
my God.
Oh,
More attractive?
Yes.
This is dangerous territory.
I mean, Waters has always said that beauty is what's on the inside, Juan.
That was, you know what? High five. That was
right.
cool. That was a good
All right.
answer.
but I love you referring to yourself, Waters. Waters is
And
all
Juan,
I
this
said.
study, this is scientific, so if you disagree, you're a science denier.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Every time that you see a study, you
winning
have to believe
denier.
the whole thing. Because I'm going to hold you to that
You'll
in the future.
forget
It
by
also
tomorrow.
is total baloney because basically they're saying if you grow up and you believe in conservative values like for smaller government and
Right.
states' rights, like you might if you were in Wyoming, then therefore you aren't a compassionate person because you aren't for social welfare
Right.
distribution.
Right.
That is baloney because actually the policies are better to help people, to like welfare to work. All of these things are actually better. There are compassionate people who are conservatives as well. So I'm going to call baloney on this.
Yeah, Dana.
But, okay, now for the most beautiful person at the table, Mr. Greg.
Yes. I think the premise is half right. Really good-looking people do have it easy. It's the one inequality that nobody wants to talk about, but it is there. There are studies on promotions, and to your point about Hollywood, an ugly person can't make it into Hollywood unless you're a character actor. But really good-looking people do better in business. They do better in job interviews, and it's an inequality that cuts across race and gender and sexual orientation. People just trust people with certain facial characteristics. However,
They do baby studies on this.
They do. But it also does result in laziness and coasting. I know a lot of good-looking people who are couch surfers because they thought that they were going to get far on their looks, and they didn't. To your point, though, the secondary part of this study, the interpretation, is incorrect because they say good-looking people become conservatives because they are unfamiliar with injustice and suffering, when, in fact, you could argue that conservatives are more compassionate because they believe in individual power over the reliance on government. So you could say that conservatives care more about people because they're willing to tell the people to work on themselves, which is a very hard thing to tell people.
Taller people tend to do better.
Oh,
also,
yes.
Greg.
We do
No,
that,
it's true.
We know that.
Studies have been shown.
I know. But see, the thing is, that is actually, there is no movement for this. Why isn't there?
I don't know if you're helping yourself.
Yeah. There's absolutely no movement for that kind of thing. And why shouldn't there be a movement for height there's no Gandhi for ugliness.
Don't give them any ideas.
There's no
Greg.
Martin Luther King for the plane.
Wait. I could be Gandhi for the... what if I wore more makeup? You think America would love me more if
If
I
you
wore...
saw people on cable without their makeup,
Oh, I'm telling you. All right. Let's not go...
All right, well, hello. It's time now for one more thing. Juan, what do you have for us?
So Ellen DeGeneres celebrated her 60th birthday by inviting Michelle Obama on her TV show. The former First Lady, in her first TV appearance since leaving the White House, said some people are afraid in the current political environment, so she offered a prescription that comes from someone who's lived in the political spotlight for 8 years.
I would just encourage your viewers, the country, to do the things we do every day, to love each other, to take care of each other, to show empathy. And you can't do that only when people make you feel good or safe. We've got to do it all across the board. We have to be an open-hearted nation, and that's who we are. So let's just keep living our lives like that every single day and forget what they're saying in Washington. That's not necessarily who we are.
Wow, she looks fantastic.
Wow. Did you guys like that?
I totally disagree.
beautiful.
Good.
Totally disagree. I think everybody should be mean and hateful.
And closed heart.
And closed. My heart is closed. By the way, Ellen, for 60? Holy.
She looks good.
Damn.
She looks good.
Wow.
Not
I hope I look half as
conservative either.
I
Not
hope I look half as good.
All right, Greg. You have Ellen envy?
Well.
Yes, indeed.
You look great, Gutfeld.
Okay, Greg,
All
go.
What am I doing? Oh, yeah. Greg's wasted alcohol news. All right. This story, I love this story because, A, I hate champagne. It's basically hypercarbonated Miller Lite, let's be honest.
I like it.
All right? And anybody who spends $42,000 on a champagne Magnum deserves to drop it. This is a guy in an Ibiza, not Ibiza, Ibiza club.
Oh.
And there he goes.
Oh, my God.
$42,000 all over the
Yes.
floor. I don't think, I don't know. You know what? He probably could afford it. That's what he's trying to say. I don't need this.
I don't mind. I'll just
But by the way, anybody,
Okay.
why champagne? Why did champagne get elevated to something special?
Okay,
It's not.
good marketing.
We have no time for that. Okay, Dana.
All right, so have you ever heard of Lord Bates? He's from Britain. He was only a minute late to work, which happens to all of us, except for when you work in TV. You have to be on time. But it was no laughing matter. He was very apologetic. Watch.
Offer my sincere apologies to Baroness Lister for my discourtesy in not being in my place to answer her question on a very important matter. I'm thoroughly ashamed at not being in my place, and therefore I shall be offering my resignation to the Prime Minister with immediate effect. I do apologize.
It's very British, right, Greg? That's why I thought you would like this. So he packed his things and left as lawmakers tried to stop him. I thought at first he was joking. Prime Minister Theresa May rejected his resignation, and because he's such a rule follower, he returned to work.
That's very cute. Okay, Jesse.
All right, now a new edition of Mom Tag.
Smattering.
Okay, first one. Here we go. On Chapter 5 of Fire and Fury, an absolute must-read. Number 2, Daddy does not like Greg's heavy metal transition music.
Amen.
I agree. Jesse, we're all excited about the Philadelphia Eagles, but this does not merit your losing of all your ings. Getting, going, winning, or is this bro talk? And then finally, how can I get Trump fired? Also, I want to give a special shout out to Swamp People star T. Roy. He's recovering in the hospital from hip replacement surgery. Get well soon.
All right, so that's very sweet. Okay, so this is something interesting for me because I love following crime stories. And Natalie Wood, nearly 40 years after her mysterious death, her ex-husband is in fact more than a person of interest in her death.